What is up, my Pika crew? This is ThePikaWu, and welcome to another Pokemon Wi-Fi battle. This one's going to be a RU tier match against a guy called Void Miasma. A link to his channel will be in the description below. So my team is going to be the same hyper-offensive team that I used in one of my previous RU matches, and I won't go into too much detail about the team. Instead, I'll just link to you in the previous team preview analysis, where I actually explain each of the individual Pokemon and their sets. So going into looking at both of our teams, I'm running hyper offensive, my opponent's actually running more of a defensive team, where you can see he's got 4 defensive Pokemon. Now the 2 defensive Pokemon that are kind of threatening are actually his Tangrowth and his Jellicent, because they have really good synergy with their defensive typings, and it'll be very hard to break down that specific defensive core. On the offensive, his Flygon is actually pretty dangerous, because once he takes down my Diancie, I don't really have that much to deal with that Flygon, and if it is a Choice Scarf set, then I'll be able to outspeed my entire team. On my end, my offensive Pokemon are actually really threatening to my opponent. If I take down either his Tangrowth or his Jellicent, then that provides room for one of my 3 Pokemon to actually sweep his team. So either my Gastrodon, my Rotom Mowed, or my Typhlosion. In terms of leads, I do decide to lead off with my Bandette, because it deals well against defensive Pokemon because I can shut them down with Taunt, and I can cripple his Flygon if he decides to lead with that with Will-O-Wisp. And if he leads off with Jinx to try to put something asleep, I do have Insomnia on my Bandette as my ability, so he won't be able to put my Bandette to sleep. So that's going to be the team preview analysis. I hope you guys enjoy the battle, and yeah, enjoy. So I'm going to lead off with my Bandette as my opponent's going to lead off with Flygon. And early on, I do get the lead matchup advantage because I can potentially cripple that Flygon with the Will-O-Wisp and burn him. And that would be a really great start to this match because, like I said earlier on, my opponent's team is relatively defensive. Flygon's one of his only offensive Pokemon, and if I do cripple it successfully early on, that gives me an advantage. So first turn, I'm just going to stay in, go for the Protect to activate my to Mega Evolve so that I get the Prankster ability. And then next turn, I'm just going to go for the Will-O-Wisp. But my opponent's pretty smart. He understands that he doesn't want his Flygon to be burned, and he brings in his Audino instead. I don't really mind getting the burn on this Pokemon because residual damage on any sort of wall is pretty useful. But I do know Audinos generally carry Heal Bell, so I'm just going to go ahead and go for the Taunt to shut down any non-attacking moves, especially that Heal Bell. And my opponent does Mega Evolve, and in fact goes for a non-attacking move, but it ends up not being Heal Bell, it's Rest, and that basically serves the same purpose, to get rid of his status ailment. Anyways, now because he's forced to go for an attacking move, I can take advantage of this and bring in my Diancie. Since I am especially defensive, I can take any one hit and basically set up my Stealth Rocks. And getting the Stealth Rocks up early on is pretty useful because he does have that Jinx and he does have that Golbat, which both take a quarter health from Stealth Rock switch in. And getting that early on also provides me an opportunity to try to sweep with the other Pokemon, because now a lot of his walls will be chipped away and have lower health. So he's going to bring in the Flygon on the switch. There's 2 moves he's going to go for, either the U-turn or the Earthquake. And either way, I can deal with the Flygon because I can live the Earthquake and just go for the Moonblast. And if he goes for the U-turn, that's perfectly fine as well because it won't do too much damage, and I get a free Moonblast on any one Pokemon. He's more than likely just to go for the U-turn, and that's what he does because Rotom Cut will take super effective damage if I do end up switching that in, and that's my Earthquake switch in. So I'm going to go for the Moonblast. I do get a critical hit here, which is really nice because it's extra damage against a relatively bulky Pokemon, but the damage output shows that this Jellicent is more likely physically defensive rather than specially defensive. And that's pretty good information to know. So taking advantage of this information, I'm actually going to bring in my Typhlosion. Generally, Jellicents carry Will-O-Wisp and they go for that move on the switch. So I was actually predicting that maybe I would get a Flash Fire boost, and with that Flash Fire boost plus Choice Specs, my Fire Blasts are actually 2-hit KO. Or actually 2-hit KOs against this Jellicent, but he actually surprises me and goes for the Giga Drain. Now, I don't want to get hit by a Scald or a Water type move just yet, so I'm just going to go ahead and go into my Rotom Mowed instead, while my opponent just scouts for the Hidden Power Grasp by going for the Recover. And this gives me a perfect opportunity to just go for the Leaf Storm, because his only resist to his Leaf Storm is his Tangrowth. And Tangrowth has a base 50 special defense, which is really, really pitiful. And even with the resistance, you can see how much damage that Leaf Storm does. It's nearly a 2-hit KO. So I'm just going to go for the second Leaf Storm, because I know this Tangrowth can't take me down in one hit. Especially since he's not a Life Orb set, he's more likely not going to carry that Sludge Bomb. And I can take him down with 2 more potential Leaf Storms. And my opponent just overpredicts there, goes for the Sleep Powder. So here I'm thinking he's probably going to switch out because he has that Regenerator ability so that he can heal up. So I'm just going to bring in my Typhlosion instead, because it can basically take down the Tangrowth if he does decide to stay in. And if he decides to switch out, he's more than likely going to bring in the Jinx, because it can take advantage of my special attack drop, attempt to set up, and sweep. But my opponent actually brings in his Golbat instead, and that's perfectly fine because I can 2-hit KO it with my Fire Blast and try to take down this Golbat. But luckily for me, I actually get the burn, and with that residual damage, I'm actually able to one-shot this Golbat. And now that one defensive Pokemon is taken down, generally with more bulky teams, once you take down one part of its defensive core, the rest of the team begins to crumble. And this is especially true in this match, because now he doesn't really have a Leaf Storm switch in. Golbat can quad resist Leaf Storm, but now he has nothing against my Rotom. So I'm just going to take advantage of this as much as possible, bring in Rotom every opportunity I can, and just click Leaf Storm, because it's so powerful, and without a good resist, he really has nothing to handle it. And his other resist is his Tangrowth here, but because I already brought him down to such a low HP, I know that even if he brings it in on the switch, it's going to get taken down by that Leaf Storm. So as you can see here, he brings in his Tangrowth, and that's going to get one-shotted. And now he officially has no resistances against Grass, and that's going to be a huge problem against him, because if he doesn't take down this Rotom, then that's going to be a big problem. So as you can see, my opponent goes into Jinx, try to deal with the Rotom as fast as possible by going for the Lovely Kiss and then possibly an Ice Beam to take me out. But because Rotom is the most important Pokemon on my team right now, I'm just going to conserve it, bring in another Pokemon as sleep fodder, and I do decide to bring in my Banette. And now that my Banette is asleep, I don't want him setting up against me with the Nasty Plots. And I know I resist both his stab moves with my Pawniard, so I'm just going to bring in my Pawniard instead. But my opponent actually double switches there and brings in his Flygon. And Flygon, again, can Earthquake me, so I don't really want to get hit by that. So I'm going to bring in my Rotom. Kind of a risky move, because if he went for the U-turn, it would have dealt a lot of damage. But because he's locked into Earthquake and he has to switch out, I get another free Leaf Storm. And that's going to hit this Mega Audino, which is a very specially defensive, bulky Pokemon. Even that Pokemon can't even live 2 hits. So that Pokemon, Audino, is going to get taken down by a Leaf Storm. So my opponent is going to bring in his Jinx again. That's basically his only check against this Rotom. So I have to switch out, which is perfectly fine. And I'm just going to bring in my Diancie this time, because he can't go for the Lovely Kiss or anything. And I can live any one hit because I'm specially defensive. Plus, I have a Rock-type move that could basically take down this Jinx. So I think I am going to go for the Diamond Storm here, if I'm not mistaken. Either that, or I'm going to double back into Rotom. So no, I stay in. Awesome. And unfortunately, he actually takes me down with the Energy Ball. I didn't expect that to actually take me down in one shot. And unfortunately for me, I am not able to go for the Diamond Storm before he takes me out. But now that my Diancie is taken down, I know I can basically lock him in against my Pawniard and just take him down with a knockoff or Iron Head. So his Jinx is finally taken down, which means he no longer has his check to my Rotom. And Rotom can basically deal with the rest of my opponent's team. So he's going to go ahead and bring in his Flygon here. That's perfectly fine. I'm just going to go for the Sucker Punch before... Oh, no, I actually conserve my Pawniard. And I'm going to bring in my Banette. And whatever move he goes for, either the Earthquake, the Fire Punch, or the Outrage, I'm just basically leaving my Banette here as death fodder anyways. But he actually goes for the Fire Punch, which is nice, because it's not going to be a it's going to be a 3-hit KO, so I can try to burn off some sleep and maybe use this Banette potentially. So my opponent's going to bring in his Jellicent again. Jellicent is probably just going to go for the Skull just to deal some damage. I actually can't retaliate back with a super effective Ghost attack because I don't carry any attacking moves. And my opponent actually has the Hex, which is super effective, plus it deals double damage since I'm asleep, and that's going to take me down. But that again opens the window for me to bring in my Rotom Mowed and basically wreck any one Pokemon on his team yet again. So he's going to stay in. I'm going to go for the Leaf Storm, and that's going to take down the Jellicent easily. And that Rotom Mowed is definitely being the MVP of this match. And this is the beauty of hyper-offensive teams. Once you take down the defensive core, you can really wreak havoc with your offensive sweepers. So that is going to basically be the match. He is going to go for the Outrage. That's not going to kill. I can take him down with a Leaf Storm. Actually, that's not going to kill either, but I can Revenge Kill with any one Pokemon on my team. And one thing is, my opponent, what he could have done was actually conserve his Golbat and try to conserve his defensive core against my team, because had he stalled a little bit more and wore down my team eventually and gradually, he definitely would have had a better shot in dealing with my team. But because he lost his Golbat early on, that opened up the window for me to take down his team with Rotom. So I hope you guys enjoyed this battle. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to leave a like, favorite, and comment. And if you guys haven't subscribed already, feel free to join the Pika crew by subscribing. So thank you for watching my battle, and I see you guys next time. Stay tuned for the common question of the day, and peace out, guys.